Let's speak about collecting material for bonsai trees. Uh, Practically every bonsai practitioner is interested in this subject very soon. People understand that there are folks who go to the mountains and bring down these fabulous mugos. People go to the desert and bring back the junipers. And so everybody thinks this is kind of cool. That's one thing. The other thing is, whenever somebody shows pictures that he has collected a wonderful piece of material, there's always a person who says, oh, you're robbing nature, you're taking away national treasures, and you're a bad person, and all that stuff. So collecting in general is a difficult subject. Of course, to start out with that more moral and legal thing, absolutely you must have permission to take that tree from anywhere. Everything belongs to someone, and this someone must give you permission. I personally think that it's not enough. If you have a permission to go to the mountains and get a tree, and you don't know what you're doing, you're going to kill that tree. That is a license to murder. Okay, so I don't have much respect of a person who then kills a tree and says, I have had permission. Maybe he should have better not have permission, but rather know what to do. So so a prerequisite is you really should know what you're doing, because the main thing is that this tree should survive. And the sad fact is that the overwhelming majority of collected trees die, especially when the beginner takes them. Well, but you have to learn somewhere, and you have to start somehow. Well, maybe you go to your garden. I have collected a lot of little trees in my garden. There's always some seedling, some sucker, which you cut back, and 2 or 3 years later you take that out and you put it in a pot, and maybe it survives, and then you have learned how to collect a tree. And it's not much different in nature. So that there may be areas where you get easily permission because trees are seen like weeds there, small little trees which sooner or later somebody will hack out anyway. And you collect these, and then you learn how to keep them so alive and to style them later on. Of course, this is not the kind of material that you really want. You want the very best material. But it's a very, very silly idea with very little experience to go to the mountains or to some other areas and collect a very good material. It takes a lot of energy, time, but the chances that this thing survives are minimal. And that depends on many things. Like, you want the best material is usually very old trees, a lot of movement and a lot of character, wonderful bark, a lot of deadwood. Well, that all comes from a very old age in a place where the tree finds it difficult to survive. Now, if you take a very old tree which is almost dying and bring it home, it probably will die right away. That's a sad fact. So some people can of course do that without killing the trees, but these are experts. So I warn you to do that, otherwise you will be a murderer. Start with something else. Start with nursery material. And by the way, you first have to learn how to repot. I find this amazing. There are people who ask me about collecting trees, and then I find out after a while that they have never repotted their bonsai. Hey, come on! Where is the big general difference in taking a tree out of a pot, shaking off, maybe cutting some roots and putting back again, or taking a tree out from the ground in the wild and putting it in a pot? There is no basic difference. Now, if you don't have enough experience about repotting tree, you have absolutely no business of ever collecting a tree. Okay, it would be very silly to do that first. Okay, so learn how to repot, learn how to not kill trees while you're doing that. So basically, while you are so eager and you want to do it, and I understand that, please wait. It is not the first thing you do. It's one of the later things. You first have to gain some experience. You have to also learn how to style a tree from difficult material, because you're not going to find easy material. Out there in nature, there's only difficult material. You don't find a bonsai. So if you have a problem what to do with a tree in a pot which is not styled yet, then you have no business of collecting that. First learn how to style it. I get emails, people sending me pictures. They have this pine tree, and for me it's a lousy little pine tree sitting in a pot, and there's very little to do with, and they ask, what can I do with that? God, why did you collect this? You obviously have no clue of anything. Learn bonsai first, learn how to style. And because what you're presenting is really a ridiculous piece of material. Any beginner should know that after the first lesson. You obviously haven't even learned your first lesson. I'm being very rude to you now. I want to discourage people from starting too early. However, when your time has come and you are now ready to collect, then, of course, you carefully select the area where you go, and it must obviously be one where you can easily go. You can park your car there. You don't want to walk for 3 hours and carry something back. Well, of course, experts do that, but not in the beginning. And there must be some good trees there. Okay, so this is usually at extreme locations, whatever that is. Places where a tree finds it difficult to grow well, because a tree that grows well in nature, a young tree, will be straight and will be not our good material, having taper or rough bark or dead wood, anything. So, where do trees find it difficult to survive? Well, let's take, for example, obviously on high mountains, at the so-called timberline, where the wood stops and then there's just grass. There you find very good trees. Forget that right away, because around the world that's a natural resort. You're not going to collect that. You find pretty good material close to roads, like on the bank of a road. There is usually a bit dry, and that is very easy often to park your car and get it there. And you are often rescuing a tree, because every 10 years or so they're cutting these trees back. Because the road must be open, and then you find pretty good material, and you usually always get permission to take that. Go to a farmer's place where the cows step over plants, or every time they walk out of the stable to the field, they come back, they step over it. This is the kind of plant you want. Okay, you ask a farmer and he will tell you, please close the hole so the cows don't break a leg. Or you go to whatever around town. You can find in cities, you can, everywhere there are somewhere there are good trees. I bet you always think there's paradise somewhere else. It's only not in your place. Give me a car, give me 2 hours, and I'll find something in your place.